Welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to show you the list of 9 evil serial killers. But please don't forget to subscribe on my channel to be notified when I post another episode. The world has known many serial killers. The list of such people who have committed inhumane crimes is endless. But then there are some who have actually stolen the spotlight for the hideous crimes committed against humanity. Here are 9 most evil and notorious serial killers. 1. Arthur Shawcross. Arthur Shawcross, also known as the Genesee River Killer, started his killing rampage when he was fighting in the Vietnam War. He claimed to have murdered and eaten 2 young Vietnamese girls. When he returned to the United States he murdered a 10-year-old boy and an 8-year-old girl. He was arrested and went to jail for 15 years for these crimes. After his release he began murdering prostitutes, 11 in total. He was caught when the police saw him masturbating in his car near the spot where one victim had been found. 2. Gerard Schaefer. Gerard Schaefer, a policeman, was convicted in 1973 of only 2 murders, but it is believed he was responsible for more than 30 killings in total. He was a sexual beast who would lure women off the roads with his police badge and eventually rape, torture, mutilate, and murder them. He would leave the women tied to trees while he went to work as a police officer. Parts of his victims' bodies and clothing were found in a trunk in his mother's attic. 3. Fritz Haarmann. Fritz Haarmann lived in Germany during a severe economic depression in 1918. He seduced a young runaway named Friedel Roth who had run away from home. Friends of Roth eventually led the police to Haarmann's home. When they entered, they found Haarmann in bed with another young boy for which he was sentenced to 9 months in prison. Unfortunately, the police did not search Haarmann's house. If they had done so, they would have found Roth's head stuffed behind the stove wrapped in newspaper. This was not known until Haarmann confessed 5 years later. 4. Larry Eyler. Larry Eyler, the highway killer, began picking men up along highways when he was in his 30s. He would invite the men into his car under the guise of having consensual sex with a little light bondage. He would take the men to a secluded area, handcuff and brutally beat them. Most victims were found disemboweled with their pants pulled down. Eyler was observed dumping 8 trash bags found to contain the remains of a 15-year-old boy into a dumpster. Eyler was sentenced to die by lethal injection, but he died of AIDS before he could be executed. In all, he murdered 21 men. 5. Dennis Nilsen. Dennis Nilsen was a Scottish serial killer who lived in London. He is unique in that he does not fit the standard serial killer profile. Nilsen killed for friendship and company. He would invite a young man to his home and after sexual relations would kill him out of fear he would be left alone in the morning. He would then leave the corpse in his apartment for days so he could place it in various poses, such as watching television or sleeping in bed, as if the body were his boyfriend. When a local plumber found bones and rotting flesh in the apartment's sewerage system, Nilsen was arrested and ultimately sentenced to life in prison for murdering 15 young men. 6. Carl Panzram. After suffering years of torture, sexual abuse, and beatings, Carl Panzram became one of America's most violent and hateful serial killers. He committed crimes in Europe, the United States, and South America. In 1920 he committed his first murder, killing sailors in New York he lured from a bar. He also raped and killed 2 small boys he beat to death with a rock. Speaking of his own life, Panzram said, "My only regret is that I wasn't born dead or not at all." 7. John Robinson. John Robinson was connected to the murders or disappearances of 11 women. A sadomasochist, Robinson would lure women through the internet or personal ads to appease his sexual appetite. After 16 years of killing and cashing in on the social security checks of his victims, Robinson was caught when 2 barrels, each containing a female body, were found on his Kansas property. 8. Bobby Joe Long. Bobby Joe Long had an unusual childhood. Until the age of 13 he shared a bed with his mother and the 2 frequently traveled from the home of one relative to another. During that time, Bobby Joe suffered many head injuries, which are believed to have been accidental. Between 1980 and 1983, Long terrorized Miami, Ocala, and Fort Lauderdale, where he would seek out housewives whose husbands were at work so he could bind and rape them. He strangled and shot at least 9 victims, though authorities believe there was a 10th victim. He was sentenced to death for killing 9 women and raping 50. 9. Peter Curtin. In the summer of 1929, a fresh corpse was found nearly weekly in the German city of Düsseldorf. Most victims were young women, horribly slashed or bludgeoned to death. Peter Curtin, the vampire of Düsseldorf, prowled for victims at night, seeking sexual satisfaction by swallowing the blood of his victims as he cut their throats. For 18 months Curtin was on a rampage. He ultimately killed over 30 people. He was executed by guillotine. Thanks for watching. Please share, like, comment and subscribe on my channel for more.